What is up, everybody? Today we are going to be talking about my top 10 favorite James Bond movies. I have seen all the James Bond movies, so this is out of all of them. It's only my personal opinion, not based off of box office or other critics, what they say and everything like that. So these are just my 10 personal favorites, going from least favorite to most favorite. Starting off with number 10 is You Only Live Twice. I did like this movie. I don't think this was one of the more popular James Bond movies, but I like the whole secret base in the mountain, because it seemed like a bigger scale than previous Bond movies. So it made it a lot more fun to watch. Sean Connery did great in this movie as well. And I believe it was like the first showing up of Spectre or Smash or whatever it was called. But in my opinion, a fun movie. One of the better Sean Connery ones. At number 9, we have Quantum of Solace. I'm a big fan of Daniel Craig as James Bond. I like the whole darker, more violent, more hand-to-hand type of combat physicalness of the newer James Bond movies, and less on the unrealistic gadgets. So this one made it fun. It was, I believe it's actually one of the shorter James Bond movies, but still very fun to watch. Directed by Mark Foster, who directed World War Z. So then we have Goldfinger. This one is a lot of people consider to be a classic. It's probably number one on a lot of people's lists, and I can see why, especially for its time. For its time, it was phenomenal the way it was done. It doesn't look cheap even on today's standards in a way. So very, very fun movie to watch. People who don't like older movies, don't sleep on this one. Worth watching. Then we have The Spy Who Loved Me. This is one of my more favorite Roger Moore James Bond movies. Again, seemed like it was a grander scale. You had Jaws in this movie as well. But overall fun with the big underwater base and all that stuff. The only thing, like I said, that I didn't like a lot about the older James Bond movies was the kind of unrealistic gadgets. But a lot of people do love that about James Bond, so it is what it is. Then next we have Skyfall with Daniel Craig again. I liked the guy who played the villain in this movie. He was also in No Country for Old Men, Javier Bardem. There we go, I just had to think of his name. But did great in this movie as the villain, which makes the hero just that much better. Again, this one had a lot more of a darker storyline, which a lot of the Daniel Craig ones do, which is what I enjoy. And it kind of went into the personal life of M, played by Judi Dench, so it made her character more bearable. Otherwise, I didn't really like her in a lot of these James Bond movies. Although I don't think you were supposed to like her either, though. But still, very fun watch. Huge grand scale, which is another reason I like the Daniel Craig movies. So, fun movie to watch. Then we have GoldenEye. Pierce Brosnan's best James Bond outing right here. I loved Sean Bean as the villain. Like we always like I said earlier, it's all based on the villain that makes the hero that much better. Sean Bean did great in this movie. So did Pierce Brosnan. And then you had Q and Judi Dench. This was Judi Dench's first movie as M as well. So just an overall fun movie. Martin Campbell is a great action director, and he showed it in this movie. A lot of the more successful James Bond movies were directed by Martin Campbell. So then we have License to Kill. Timothy Dalton as James Bond. I didn't really like him as James Bond much, but this one, especially for its time, was extremely dark and extremely violent. This was the only R-rated James Bond movie, I believe. And whether it would still be R if it was released today, I don't know. But at least back then it was. But again, I like the dark, more violent, sinister kind of theme to it, which is why it's further up on this list. Not to mention, you had Robert Davi as the villain. And then, obviously, the supporting cast also fantastic. Then we have No Time to Die. Again, felt like a grander scale. This had probably one of the best Bond themes, I thought, and which made it great. You know, soundtrack also adds to a movie. But then the ending was something that I didn't see coming. I mean, you knew that he was going to be leaving the franchise, but you know, you didn't know how it was gonna go. And then yeah, just I loved Rami Malek as the villain as well. Absolutely did great. Definitely a different character than you're used to seeing in other James Bond movies. So, wow. And again, dark themes, just like all of Daniel Craig's movies have. Then we have A View to a Kill, which is my favorite Roger Moore James Bond movie, with the debut of Midnight. And then you had Christopher Walken as the villain, and he did a fantastic job in this movie, made Roger Moore look really good on his last outing as James Bond. Again, another older movie to where, you know, if you frown on older movies, you definitely still need to give this one a chance. And then my most favorite James Bond movie is Casino Royale. I thought this was perfect in every way. Soundtrack, the scale, the way it looked, the fact that it was more realistic and physical compared to other James Bond movies. The first opening scene right off the bat had you hooked. And again, this one was directed by Martin Campbell, who directed GoldenEye. Whether or not they'll have Martin Campbell come back to direct the next James Bond movie, because he seems to direct the first one of Pierce Brosnan's and the first one of Daniel Craig's. So maybe he'll direct the first one of whoever is going to be taking over for Daniel Craig, who I don't know who it's going to be. But, you know, rumors abound. I'd like to hear your opinion on who you think the next James Bond will be. But that is my list. I'd like to hear your opinion on if you'd throw any other Bond movies on this list. But yeah, otherwise that does it for this video. If you like content like this, please like and subscribe. Your support is much appreciated. I am also over on Letterboxd. The link to that is in the profile description of this channel. Otherwise, until next time, guys.